Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Geek Matrix DC Comics Review Show, episode number 285. My name is Rob, and we are here every week talking the week's DC Comics releases, and this week is no different. And in case you're wondering why I didn't respond with joining me as always, it's because there's nobody joining me today. It's just me. It's a solo show. I hope that's okay. Josh and Brandon are busy being movers. They're moving across the country this weekend. Hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. Everything goes okay. Hope those guys, they're not moving to the same place, mind you. That made it sound like maybe they were moving in together. And I'm sure they would be okay with that. But no, they're not moving to the same place. Just coincidence that they're both happening, or just both happen to be moving this weekend to different states in the United States of America. So it's just me all alone in Canada. And I am going to be talking about the books we have this week. It's going to be a short show. I'm going to be treating this like a radio show instead of a podcast because what the fuck else am I supposed to do? So I will be talking about Absolute Wonder Woman number 17, Absolute Martian Manhunter number 9, Detective Comics number 1106, Justice League Unlimited number 16, The Flash number 30, Superman number 35, and Green Lantern number 32, with the honorable mentions being Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong 2, number 7, I believe that's the final issue, The Peril of the Brutal Dark, an Ezra Kane mystery, number 1, the 4th Vertigo title to release. I've not read it yet, but it looks exciting. The Batman Second Night number 3, I am excited about that. I've yet to actually start I technically started issue 1, but I fell asleep halfway through because it was midnight when I was reading it months ago and I never got to finish it. So I'm excited to get the 3rd issue out. I can't wait to read it. It's a favorite Elseworlds of mine right now. And Harley Quinn number 59. Could not tell you the damn thing what's going on in Harley Quinn right now. I am so behind on that. I've not checked out Harley Quinn since the creator team changed. Maybe I should give it another shot. Maybe I should get back on it. I've been picking up books left, right, and center recently. So I don't have time. Speaking of reading, I want to shout out Brandon has started his own journey like I have with reading every issue of Green Lantern and posting about it on Reddit. Brandon has started his own journey with The Flash, and he's posting about it on the Flash subreddit. So be sure to check that out. You'll be able to find his posts there. I know we got to day 3. And like I said, he's moving this weekend. He picked a heck of a week to start. I don't know why he didn't just start it like next week or the week after when he had a bit more free time. But here we are. I think he might have missed day 4. I have to go check. But he has started it. Lots of fun over there. He is a lot better at reviewing older books than I am because I just kind of do a brief a brief thought, jotting down my thoughts of what I thought about it, but he goes into great detail about the artwork, the pencils, the story beats, the creative process. He gets into the nitty gritty of each and every issue so far. He's starting with Showcase number 4, First Appearance of Barry Allen, like I started with Showcase number 22, First Appearance of Hal Jordan. I just today posted day 53. I'm knee deep in All American Comics, and I've started Golden Age Green Lantern from 1941, Green Lantern Quarterly, that is. I mean, it wasn't called Green Lantern Quarterly, it just came out quarterly, but it's easier to call it Green Lantern Quarterly or Green Lantern Volume 1. I'm on the 2nd issue of that, and All American Comics, I just finished posting issues 37 and 38, Comics Cavalcade. I'll be starting in next week, if I'm not mistaken. I'm doing it in release order, and right now I'm about April, May 1942, with Comics Cavalcade was December 1942, if what I found online is accurate. So next week, maybe the week after, I'll be hitting that, and then it'll be a rotation of All American Comics, Comics Cavalcade, Green Lantern Quarterly, All American, etc., etc. Until I finish that and finally get back to the Silver Age. I can't wait. As much as I'm enjoying the adventures of Alan Scott and Doiby Dickles, I cannot wait to get back to the Silver Age because I kind of miss that campiness. I really do. The Golden Age campiness is fun, but Silver Age campiness just has something to it you can't emulate. It's so good. Anyway, that is my personal news. There is a bit of news on the horizon that I want to bring up. Today, specifically today, Friday, December 27th, Transformers number 30 leaked online. So if you want to avoid spoilers, be sure to avoid Transformer subreddits, forums, chats, Twitter posters, whatever, because people are talking about it like crazy. If you did not know what was going on and you've already checked them out, chances are you've already come across something. People have been fairly good at covering up the spoilers so far. But just be careful because not everybody follows that 100%, right? I personally, if I'm being honest, I've read it. I'm still gonna buy it in 2 weeks when it comes out because I like to collect these books and I'm really enjoying these Skybound Transformers. But it is out there if anybody does want to get a preview, and you just can't wait to see what happens with Optimus and Elita after the end of issue 29. It is nuts. It's actually fucking nuts. The issue 30 is crazy. That's all I will say about it. I'm excited for the direction this book is going. I'm excited for the future. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also Dan Mora's last issue. The artist, I can't remember the name of the artist taking over, but there is a new artist taking over in issue 31, I believe. Which I think is a shame because I've been really like, fuck, who doesn't love Dan Mora art, right? I love what Dan Mora has been doing. But from what I understand, as much as I don't remember the artist's name, I do remember hearing this artist is quite good. And I think he had an issue on the book before. Don't quote me on that. I don't quite remember. So there's that to look forward to with issue 31. It's going to be insane. So speaking of comics outside of DC, Limited Run Games has also announced a new collection called the Marvel Maximum Collection. And this is a collection of 6 games from the NES and Super NES libraries, which includes Silver Surfer from the Nintendo Entertainment System. And over on the SNES, you have Captain America and the Avengers. You have Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge. You have the X-Men arcade game. You have, oh my god, now I'm forgetting them all. Shoot. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's X-Men Arcade, the Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers. Oh my god, I'm forgetting. There's 6 games in total. 2 games in particular that I think should have been on there is Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems and Wolverine Adamantium Rage, but that is just me. Oh, that's the other 2. Spider-Man, Venom, Separation Anxiety, and Maximum Carnage. Those 2 different games, even though they play exactly the fucking same. Those 2 games are going to be on it as well, and it's limited runs, so there's going to be a whole host of extra bonus features as well. There's going to be game manuals in the game. There's going to be bonus features, behind the scenes looks at stuff, and just a whole host of other features that you can always get in a limited run title. And it's limited run, so it will be posted for a limited run. There's no release date yet. They just teased it earlier this week. It's one I think I'll be picking up because I actually owned at least 3 of those games. And I never finished a single one because that era of gaming was ridiculous and hard. And I was 6 years old. So I'm excited to try it again as a 36-year-old when the game actually comes out some 30 odd years later and see if I can actually make it to level 3 on some of the games because I didn't really make it past level 2 on some of them. Wolverine Adamantium Rage is one I really wish was there because that's a game I never made it past level 1. Not because I couldn't, but because I could never find the way out. The level design, and again, it's been 30 odd years since I played that game. I think the level design was horrendous because I could never find the bloody exit. I just kept going in circles, and that's why I never made it to level 2. I should really try it again. We'll see. We'll see if I can find the cart. If not, Dolphin Emulator. Let's see what else happened. I think that's about it, if I'm not mistaken. Big news this week. Actually, Whew. Well, he did talk about it periodically over the last little while. Um, Unfortunately, Netflix has lost, or at least retracted their bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery because, despite everybody not wanting it, Paramount has upped their bid and kept pushing. They posted like 10 freaking bids for this thing until Warner Brothers finally said, okay, you know what? This one's actually better than Netflix's. You get it if it goes through. So Netflix retracted their bid, and as it stands right now, Paramount is in the lead to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. There is still a glimmer of hope. David Zaslav apparently said on an all company um, call, I guess it was, that they have about a year for it to go through, and if it doesn't go through, then Warner Brothers just gets like $7 billion, and they'd all just go back to work doing what they're doing as it is. So there's a glimmer of hope that Paramount will not buy Warner Brothers, and we just get left with the same old shitty Warner Brothers that we still have, which is probably the better of two evils. Because let the company do what it's doing by itself. It's already in its midst. We know what it is. We may not agree with everything they do, but we know what we're getting, and I'm all for it. It's much better than Paramount. I was a little excited to see Netflix own it, though. I know, big thing of monopolies and one company owning everything is nuts. I agree, that's a bit much, but just the prospect of what Netflix could potentially bring to Warner Brothers and what Warner Brothers could bring to Netflix. Maybe the Green Lantern movie will make it back to Netflix in Canada. I watched the hell out of that till they just mysteriously stopped posting it. I don't know why. I own it on DVD 3 frickin' times. I don't know why I need it on Netflix, but I need it everywhere. And again, that's just me. That is just me. I'm the only person in this world that wants it on Netflix, wants it streaming, even though I own it 3 freaking times. I'm probably the only person in this world that owns it 3 times. That owns it more than once. I'm sure there's some people that actually own a copy of the DVD. I own it 3 freaking times. Anyway, I'm just that much of a Green Lantern nerd. Finally, did forget about this. Marvel, with their Imperial Cosmic plans, they were launching a set of books spinning out of Imperial, mini cosmic event from last year, penned by Jonathan Hickman. That honestly was kind of hit or miss with a lot of people. The reception wasn't the greatest. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it really wasn't the most exciting cosmic event. I think that's the problem with Marvel Cosmic, is they don't know how to make it exciting. So 5 books were spinning out of that: Planet She-Hulk, Imperial Guardians, Exiles, Nova Centurion, and Black Panther Intergalactic, I think it was called, or maybe it was, yeah, Black Panther Intergalactic. They were all set to, as per Marvel's new editorial rules, every new book will get at least a 10-issue run to decide its fate, and that has now been curtailed hard. That all the books are getting shrunk to a 5-issue limited release, with the exception of Exiles, which is a straight up not coming, period. Imperial Guardians was said a couple of weeks ago that it was already being shrunk down to 5 issues. Planet She-Hulk, Nova Centurion, and Black Panther Intergalactic are also finishing with issue 5. And like I said, Exiles just is not happening, period, which I'm disappointed in. I'm a huge cosmic story lover. Again, Green Lantern, duh. Marvel Cosmic is something that hasn't been explored much in the better part of a decade, maybe more. Imperial Guardians looked really cool. I was excited to see what would happen in Exiles, even though I probably wouldn't read far beyond issue 1 or 2. But I was excited to see what the direction could be. And I've been enjoying Nova Centurion, so I'm really bummed to see this happen. Editorial just did not have high hopes in it, I guess. Or there was a focus group that said it was boring, or low pre-order sales. Who the hell knows? Bleeding Cool News says it's due to low audience figures, and I don't know how they can figure that when 2 of the books haven't even come out yet. I have no clue. So Marvel Cosmic yet again is being put on the wayside. Who knows when that will come back, if at all. If at all. DC Cosmic, however, is going strong in my opinion, and just getting bigger. Coming in, I think it was May, was the recent solicits. We see a Guy Gardner solo book is coming. I believe it's a 5 or 6 issue mini, but still, Guy Gardner getting a solo book again. Hell yeah. And he's having a big story arc in GLC spinning out of DCKO. So that is something to look forward to. And that, I believe, is about all the news I have 100%. So without further ado, if you will, adieu. Let's get into the books this week, starting off with, and hold on a minute while I pull up the issue, Absolute Wonder Woman, number 17. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art from Hayden Sherman, colors from Jordi Belair, and letters from Becca Carey. So, Zatanna has captured Diana at the big party they were at in Gateway City. Oh, yeah, it was museum opening, museum exhibit. Zatanna's captured Diana with her magic, but this was all a ploy by Zatanna to use Diana's magic to kind of build up her own and free her from this weird parasite that was in her body. And once the parasite was extracted, she teleports herself out of there. And we then see Veronica Cale in Area 41 freaking the hell out, watching everything from the camera on Dr. Poison's body, or her suit, I guess, because she's just gas in a suit. Watching this all happen, pissed off that Zatanna kind of got around the parasite that she put in Zatanna's body, and saying, like, Zatanna's gone, we need a new magic user out there. Get him. We can't control him, but he doesn't know that. So get him out there. With Zatanna gone, Diana's magic returns to her fully, and that's the last we see of Zatanna for now. But now, Diana has to go up against the rest of the villains that are there, including Giganta, Cheetah, which is Patricia, what's her name? I had it pulled up. It's the original Cheetah. Priscilla Rich, the original Cheetah, Golden Age, and that is why it's not the one that we know now. Yes, Priscilla Rich, Cheetah. I don't remember her name. She was mentioned here, the Queen of the Mermen. She's here. Dr. Poison and Giganta are the villains she has to contend with. Dr. Poison obviously doesn't want to fight her, and Diana had a bit of an agreement that we saw some issues ago. So Diana puts her in a magic bubble and sends her far, far away. That pisses off Giganta. It's her turn to fight Diana, starts crushing her, but Diana is able to call Pegasus to help her out. Pegasus kind of sets the area ablaze because apparently Pegasus has flame breath, which enrages Giganta even more. And this is when Diana is able to pluck some hair from Giganta, use her own magic she just says match using some DNA, and it copies the abilities, I'm assuming, of the person they are fighting. So she is able to grow to the same size as Giganta. This happens 2 more times. This fight with Giganta is a slobber knocker. They're fighting all over the city, and Diana is doing whatever she can to keep people and property out of harm's way. She gets Giganta into an empty park on the other side of the city, where they're like Godzilla sized at this point, and puts her to sleep with a chokehold. And at this point, Cheetah, who was knocked aside by Giganta by accident, is found by the magic man that Veronica Cale talks about at the beginning of the issue. Queen Ara, that's her name. Queen Ara of the Mermen saw the man coming and decided just to run off. Cheetah is then stabbed by this man with a flaming knife, and then we do get a brief glimpse of what he looks like, and he's literally just a flaming skeleton. So Diana shrinks back down to size, puts an extra knockout spell on Giganta to keep her asleep for good, makes her way back to Cheetah, and finds this man who just calls her a demon and says, in backwards magic, burn the witch, and then Diana's arm begins to melt. Her magic arm, the one she's already missing, but it melts into what seems to be molten lava. And you just get a glimpse of this man through some smoke coming off his body. You get to see an actual visage of a person, but it's only a portion of his face, so you don't quite know who it is yet. But that's happening. Ultimate Ghost Rider has made his way over to Absolute Wonder Woman. Who the hell knows? Crazy art, crazy story. I'm really enjoying this first two issues of this story arc, which is Season of the Witch. Excuse me. It's crazy. It's really hard to do without one or two other people to kind of bounce ideas off of. It's been a while since I've done this. Yeah, so Absolute Wonder. This actually was just, it was nuts. It was a big fight with Wonder Woman and a whole bunch of Wonder Woman villains. I love to see it. It was cool seeing Giganta. I would not have minded a more of an introduction to some of these other characters to get an actual sense of where they came from, who they are, why they're there. We know they're all under the thumb of Veronica Cale, and they're all under her control. And that's why they were there, whether they wanted to be or not. But why? How? When did this happen? There's still 3 more parts of the story, but Cheetah's dead. So that's not going to happen. Queen Ara's gone in the wind. I doubt we'll see her again. Who knows? Maybe Giganta captured. So who the hell knows? Who knows? I don't know. But with that, this issue is going to get, let's say, I'll give it 8.75 out of 10. I think that's fair. Only because I would have wanted to see more of the actual villains that Diana is fighting. But here we are. So hopefully we'll get to see more of them in the future. But for now, it was just one big fight, so there's not much else to talk about. We'll now move on to Absolute Martian Manhunter number 9, and bear with me as I try to find the freaking credits page. It's always at the end. Written by one of my favorite writers right now, Dennis Camp, with art from Javier Rodriguez, letters from Hassan Esmail, and the cover from, again, Javier Rodriguez. Simply put, the Martian is being vivisected. They made a point to say it's not an autopsy because the Martian is still alive. He's alive, so it's a vivisection. He's being vivisected by the people that captured him, these odd government scientists, if you can even call them that. While John, meanwhile, is kind of following the Martian's tracks and visiting all the people that the Martian was dream hopping through to try and find out where the Martian went. It's been a week, and all he's stuck with is Despair the Zero, who just gives him the shit. It's when they say Despair the Zero, that name means something. It's nothing but despair in John's mind right now, and Despair the Zero is the only one pushing that idea. The world sucks. People don't care about you. Everything is horrible. It's all shit. Stop trying. You're crazy and you deserve to be, yada yada. This goes back and forth for a while until John has to meet his wife for excuse me, a group therapy session. However, it's a bit of a trick, and the group therapy session isn't trying to save their marriage. It's actually for John to have a somewhat intervention about his psychosis. That Bridget, that's her name, is his wife. Bridget really believes that he's gone crazy. He's talking about like mystical aliens that only he can see and talk to and read people's minds and all this jazz. Now the alien's gone, so we can't even prove it. And it's freaking him the hell out. Despair the Zero is not helping because he keeps pushing that same thought into John's mind at the exact same time and saying this therapist is not who she says she is. You know, she's got razor teeth and she's got braces, but you see later on that she actually has some freaking sharp teeth. And Despair the Zero just pushes this whole concept that everyone's out to get him. That eventually gets into John's mind, and Despair the Zero gives John Despero vision. Instead of Martian vision, he gets Despero vision, which allows him to see things for what they really are, including he gets to see Tyler and sees that the white Martian has taken over Tyler. But before John can do anything about it, Bridget shows up behind him. Tyler was also in that office, just in a different room. But before he can do anything about it, Bridget shows up behind him and tells him that you need to come with these people, and some really giant orderlies show up to take John away, presumably to an insane asylum. John escapes. Some time passes, seemingly in seconds for him, but must have been a lot longer because he then landed in front of his boss in his boss's office. Runs away from that because some shady shit's going on there. He heads back to his hotel to try and figure out his next move, but Despair the Zero is in his head and feeding him the darkness. Meanwhile, some people are showing up outside his hotel room ready to take him down. Also, the White Martian inside Tyler's body has started to invade Bridget's mind and is controlling her at the same time. Holy hell, this book is crazy. I'm so happy it's back. I'm bummed it's finishing at issue 12. This is issue 9. There's only 3 more issues. I don't know how I'm going to cope because this is one of my top books every month. The art is just crazy. It's psychedelic. It's trippy. It's out there. I could talk about that all the live long day, but I won't because I talk about it all the time anyway. But it's such a beautifully crazy book and could only be done by Dennis Camp, who I absolutely adore right now. I will pick up anything that's got Dennis Camp's name on it. I am all there for him. The storyline, this issue felt kind of short at the same time, but a lot happened. It's kind of weird. He's lost his family again, but at least John finally found out that the White Martian is still around and exists inside Tyler. Now all he needs to do is get Tyler free, get the White Martian out. How is he going to do that with Despair the Zero feeding him dark thoughts? How is he going to do that without the Martian who is being vivisected and cut up, and the alien power being huffed by some government agents to get a sense of just the level of abilities that the Martian has. It's just a crazy book, and I can't wait to see how it ends. I don't want it to end, but if it ends in its own way on good terms, then I'm all for it. Yeah, so this one's getting a 9.25 out of 10. Solid fucking stuff. Just so good. We then move on to Detective Comics number 1106. This is written by Tom Taylor with art from Mikel Janin, the cover also by Mikel Janin, and letters from Wes Abbott. This is the finale of The Courage That Kills. Bruce is in front of the lion, and Gotham is just full of courage. Absolutely no fear in any of the citizens, and shit is going crazy. The citizens are tired of Vandal Savage, and they're no longer afraid of him because they have no fear about anything, and everyone is marching to police headquarters. They've already taken out a precinct, and they're heading straight for GCPD headquarters to take down Vandal Savage himself. Officer Jim Gordon, beat cop himself, beat cop extraordinaire, has also barged his way into Savage's office and tells him to fix this, and even punches him in the face because he has no fear. That is unfortunately the last we see of Gordon in this issue. We don't know what happens after that. Typically, if you punch Vandal Savage in the face, you don't live after. So I'm kind of scared for Jim right now, but that is the last we see of him in this issue. Batman, meanwhile, is still suffering the effects of the courage that kills within his own body. So what does he do? He has a fresh tube of the Scarecrow's fear toxin that he injects into the air system of the suit that he's wearing, and that puts pure raw fear within him, and it doesn't cure the courage disease. It just counteracts it enough to give him an edge. And with that, he is able to fight the hell out of the Lion. Lion is a formidable opponent, but with the help of the Batmobile, he's able to knock that motherfucker out. Captures him. Meanwhile, Mission Terrific has the same uh, fear toxin tied up to a bunch of crop dusters that are going to crop dust the entire city all at once and free the citizens of Gotham from the courage disease. And this is when Batman shows up in the middle of the city and hijacks every screen in the city at once, including every electronic billboard in what equates to their Times Square, and just tells everyone to go home. And because they're all feeling fear and it's Batman, they all run the fuck home. Everybody else is safe after that. The Lion is in prison in Arkham Tower, actually. Mr. Terrific is able to fashion an antidote from a liquor bottle that the Lion actually left for Bruce Wayne, which actually contained the antidote, the counter virus to the courage of the courage disease, the courage virus. So he's able to save everyone. Everyone gets cured, and the Lion is safe behind the giant glass window. Bruce goes to visit one last time, and they have a little tete-a-tete as old friends do. And that is where the issue ends, and the story arc ends, and there will be more next month. Crazy stuff. This was a fun one. I actually really like this one. It was maybe my top 2 Batman story arcs so far this year, or I guess you could say since the creative team switched over, was Batman and Robin by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Detective Comics from Tom Taylor. Both were, in my opinion, equal in terms of stature and in terms of like just how crazy good the story is right now. This one is done for now. Philip Kennedy Johnson's Batman and Robin is done for good, as we now know. But this one, this Detective Comics from Tom Taylor, this story arc, fantastic stuff, really, really good. And I like the way it ended. It kind of wrapped things up nicely. The only thing, oh, actually, no, never mind. No, I was second guess myself. I was going to say the only thing I'm not sure of is how Bruce got cured. And then I remembered he had that bottle of liquor that Leo left for him. That had the cure in it, so he's able to take a drink and got himself cured. Leo left that for Bruce because Leo doesn't know that Bruce is Batman, and he's just looking out for his old friend, Bruce Wayne. So that's that. So it's all wrapped up rather neatly, nicely. Best you could hope for, and drawn by the incomparable Mikel Yanin. Just looked fantastic while it was happening. It was really cool. Favorite moment from this issue, I can say it's not my favorite moment of the week, but it's up there. It's in my top 3 favorite moments. Just the Batmobile running Leo over out of nowhere. It was crazy. I liked it. So this issue is going to get a 9 out of 10. We then move on to Justice League Unlimited number 16. This is written by Mark Waid with art from Dan Mora, colors from Tamara Bonvillain, and letters from Ariana Marr, with the cover from Dan Mora. This finishes off the story of the Terrific 10, where, excuse me, Owl Woman has betrayed the Terrific 10 and Mr. Terrific by making a deal with Neron. She did not like that Michael Holt was basically saying that all of their lives are essentially forfeit. They are pulled from seconds between moments in time where they're just remnants of their past selves, and they don't really have any connection to the future whatsoever. She did not feel comfortable with that, and I do not blame her. I'll be honest with you. If somebody comes up to you one day and says, you have no point in history, your life will continue without you. You don't need to be alive. Like, I'm not going to take that sitting down. Fuck you. I want to survive. I want to live. I don't blame her in the slightest. Makes perfect sense. Why she would betray them, that doesn't make sense. That I did not like. But that's besides the point. She did it so she could live. She made that deal with Neron so she did not have to die. That if push came to shove and her life was forfeit and she just withered into nothingness, especially with all the stuff with DCKO, the apocalypse terraforming happening, she wanted to have a surefire reason, a surefire way that she would live. And that is the deal that she made with Neron. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of villains on Earth, as we know that Airwave, Kid Flash, and a whole bunch of other Justice Leaguers are also fighting these villains that are also trying to make the same deal with Neron, and they are just not getting it in their heads. What the heroes are trying to say that this is not the way. You're going to literally sell your soul to the devil for a chance at life, when we can actually give you a real chance at life, a guaranteed chance at life. Just come with us now, and it won't cost you your soul. They're not listening. Um, but the battle is pretty much at a standstill. Both sides between the villains and the heroes are fairly evenly matched. So Neron tells Owlwoman to go out into the world, teleports her back to the real world, planet Earth, says keep an eye on the villains and the heroes there. And if the heroes try to get an edge, help out the villains. However, when she gets there, she overhears a bunch of the heroes saying what they're saying about doing the right thing, and trying to convince the villains. And in essence, they convince her. They change her mind and made her realize that being a hero means even sacrificing the ultimate sacrifice, paying the ultimate cost. And that is when she starts punching out some villains, gets the drop on them, and gives the heroes the edge they need to take out the villains. Neron gets pissed off, ends up killing her, but Mr. Terrific is able to escape. He makes it back to planet Earth, and rejoin with the Leaguers. They all make it back to the Watchtower, and that is just about where the issue ends. The Terrific 10 paid the ultimate price. They're all dead. I hate that. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's just weird ends. Yeah. So yeah. That that's the issue. It looked fantastic. It's drawn by Dan Mora, so no complaints there. It always looks good when Dan Mora is doing it. My complaint is the story. Like, so when Justice League Unlimited was announced, me, like many other millennials, thought of the cartoon, Justice League Unlimited, the cartoon, which is fantastic. And if you're a DC fan and you haven't watched it, you need to do yourself a favor and watch that cartoon. It is very good. It's hit or miss whether you watch Justice League that came before it, because it is a direct sequel to that series, but it can be watched by itself. You do not need to have watched Justice League to understand Justice League Unlimited. But it is definitely a necessary watch. It is a fantastic show. I thought the comic would be taking beats from the cartoon, where it would just be random stories of Justice League adventures and different leaguers doing different things at different times. And that's basically what we got promised. And that's not exactly what we're getting. So far there's been 2 crossover events, and it's feels like it's getting bogged down by necessity as opposed to fun, which is what I thought we were getting. I love that Airwave is still around, but this is I'm going from what I thought was going to be childhood nature and whimsy and fun and just crazy superhero adventures, to here's 10 characters, 8 of which you absolutely love, and they're going to be brutally murdered by demons in front of you. Like, I don't. Okay. So I don't love it. I don't love the story. I love the art. It's done. It's a DCKO tie-in. DCKO ends next week with issue 5. So with that, I'm just going to give it a 6.5 and call it a day. I'm not going to go crazy about it, because it's done. There will be DCKO Aftermath, picking up the pieces. That's to be expected, but I really do hope that Mark Waid gets us back on track with just crazy Justice League adventures very soon. That's what I'm hoping. It will be much better, and I believe much better received by the fans when we get to something like that. Moving on to our next book is The Flash, another DCKO tie-in. I just read this one today, so bear with me if I'm trying to remember everything that happened And while I try to find the fucking credits page, here we go. So this is written by Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell, with art from Vasco Georgiev, colors from Matt Herms, letters from Buddy Bedoin, and or Bo, Bo, Bodoin, Bodoin, and cover from Dan Mora. Yeah. So apologies to Buddy if I butcher your last name every time. So Bart has appeared in front of Barry at the tail end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Barry is about ready to sacrifice himself to stop the anti-monitor's device from exploding the rest of the universe and the multiverse. Bart arrives to tell him to stop and says, "Look, let me make the sacrifice. You live." However, Darkseid's plan is to not interfere with this, because if Bart sacrifices himself, since he is a living conduit of the Speed Force right now, if Bart sacrifices himself, the Speed Force goes with him, and that will leave the Omega Speed Force to take its place, and that's exactly what Darkseid wants. Barry is trying to fight Bart off, but it's not working too well. And this is when Wally appears in Darkseid's little fortress area with the Omega Legion that are there, including Excess. He has to fight a bunch of them off, and it's not going the greatest. Meanwhile, Max Mercury got pulled to somewhere in the past at, believe it or not, Challenger's Mountain. And wouldn't she know what he finds? Well, does anybody remember that Challengers of the Unknown 5-issue miniseries last year? Well, he finds Ultivac and Rocky Davis, who disappeared at the end of the last issue. So here they are. They got teleported to the pass of Challenger's Mountain. Oh shit! I just knocked over Jetfire. Yeah, so Max Mercury found them, and together they make their way to also Darkseid's little temple fortress, where Wally is fighting a losing fight. He gets to see Bart and Barry fighting on a view screen, and decides he's going to use his Legion flight ring and his speed powers to make him like time travel himself to that moment to help Barry fight off Bart. Darkseid tells the Legionnaires to go after him, but this is when Max Mercury, Ultivac, and Rocky Davis show up in a portal, and Ultivac is laying waste to shit. With Max Mercury and Rocky Davis on his side, it's a well-fought fight with Ultivac providing the ultimate power. Excuse me. Meanwhile, Wally shows up to the crisis and is able to hold Bart back enough for Barry to go racing off. However, Doomsday has arrived and is trying to hold Wally back while Bart takes Barry's place. But then we see the ghostly visage of Jay Garrick, who is speaking to Bart through the Speed Force and tells him to be what you're meant to be, and uses whatever ability he has left to kind of just push Bart out of the way, and gives Barry enough time to get back on the belt and start running. And he is able to sacrifice himself, and the crisis goes off the way it's always supposed to. Wally, meanwhile, is able to get Darkseid off him, and then just holds Bart as they watch Barry sacrifice himself. Bart, however, is able to feel Barry in the Speed Force at this time, and they're able to have a moment together, grandfather and grandson. And then Max, Rocky, and Ultivac show up in another portal to get Wally and Bart the hell out of Dodge. Max Mercury goes back to his present day, our past, his present day, to live out his life normally. And the rest all go to a point in time that is untouched, and that is where the DCKO crossover tie-in stuff finishes. Next month, a new era begins with a new creative team. Ryan North, I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. So that is the end of Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell's very brief run on the book. I very much enjoyed this one. I think it was the best issue of the bunch. My favorite part being that you saw the perspective of Bart, Barry, Wally, Max, and Jay at all times, or at different times throughout the issue. They all have at least one page of themselves. They're like, my name is blank. I am this. And it was really cool to see for a book called The Flash. You have all the Flashes represented here, and it was really nice. Um, and it looks really fucking good. And like the DCKO stuff is aside, it's whatever. This was a Flash story through and through. It was very much DCKO tied in, but it's not the main point of this whole story arc. I feel it was really just I feel at this point a love letter from Mark Waid to the Flash family and Flash history and the characters he wrote for so many years, Max, Bart, and Wally, and to a certain degree Jay as well. And just like a love letter to these characters and his run on the Flash, and I've rather enjoyed it. I rather enjoyed it quite a lot. So this issue will be getting a 9 out of 10. Whew. Okay, a few books left to go. Let me just take a drink because my mouth is getting dry, which is what happens when you just talk for like what are we at now? 46 and a quarter minutes. That's how long I've been talking for. So just give me a second here. Almost there, folks. Tail end, we make our way to Superman, another DCKO tie-in. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art from Eddie Barrows, Iber Ferreira, and Julio Ferreira. Colors from Alejandro Sanchez, letters from Ariana Mara, and the cover from Dan Mora. So, Superboy Prime has arrived on the Justice League Watchtower, where the robot Superman and Lois are trying to fight off the Legionnaires to save Time Trapper. Superboy Prime gives the much needed edge in this fight. The Superman robot, instead of running away, is instead being dismantled by, excuse me, Cosmic Boy. Lois is trying to fight off Saturn Girl, but instead is getting a whole bunch of mental images in her head of what's going on in the tournament right now. And she sees, as we now know, that Superman was betrayed by Lex Luthor and has lost. He is dead. Lois refuses to believe it, and she's starting to beat the shit out of Saturn Girl, but Saturn Girl gets the edge on her. So Saturn Girl takes a look into Lois's mind and just gets a whole blast of images of love, respect, admiration between her and Superman. And that is when Lois is able to look into Saturn Girl's mind as well and see the same kind of same visions about Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad. And this is when Lois realizes she has her edge. And she's able to talk down Saturn Girl. Meanwhile, the Lightning Lad is getting the shit beat out of him by Superboy Prime. Cosmic Boy tries to go in and help him, leaving the Superman robot behind, but Cosmic Boy gets bitch slapped hard. Cosmic Boy is dead to rights with Superboy. Lightning Lad is dead to rights with Superboy having him in a chokehold. Saturn Girl says, "Don't, please don't." Superboy Prime lets Lightning Lad go, says, "Whatever, you're lucky I'm not that guy anymore." And the Legionnaires leave, leaving the super family, quote unquote super family, Lois, Superboy Prime, and Robot Superman, with Time Trapper. And Superman Robot is functional enough to give off the message, to show the message that they went to Time Trapper to show him in the first place, and that is from Lara Lorvan, Kal-El's mother, explaining that Doomsday may have been created on Krypton for the purpose of defeating Darkseid, but what Time Trapper doesn't know is that where Darkseid is the Omega and Doomsday is the Alpha, that Alpha being the opposite of the anti-life, you are also given the ability to create life. And that is why Doomsday is able to regenerate so many times. Every time he dies, he's reborn in a different fashion. And that's a hidden inherent ability that Doomsday has within him. And with that, Time Trapper uses whatever last remnant of power he has to enter himself into the tournament, um, to what we can only assume is bring Superman back to life. And we will see him next week in DCKO number 5. But there is an epilogue in one of these super ships in orbit around Earth, Apocalypse. Lois is in like the holding area where all the refugees are, looking for Clark's parents, Jonathan and Martha. She comes across them, and they embrace with a great big hug. Um, Jonathan just has this bad feeling in his chest that something bad has happened with Clark, and she says, "Look, he's been through that before. Have hope. He's going to come back to us." But meanwhile, there's someone I want to introduce you to that I think he needs you as much as you need him. And in walks Superboy Prime, to which he says, "I was hoping you'd call me Clark." To be continued next month in Reign of the Superboys. Whoa. So that is where that issue ends. It all leads to DCKO number 5 next week. I can't wait for that, to see how that ends, because if you've been paying attention to solicits for the next few months, spoilers if you haven't, and if you don't want to know, just jump ahead a few minutes. Superman is not present in anything for the next few months. After DCKO number 5, he's just not solicited to appear in anything. So that leaves a lot of questions as to what the hell is going to happen. Superboy Prime is going to be taking on the lead in the Superman title. John Kent is going to be taking on the lead in Superman Unlimited. Action Comics is Clark in the past as Superboy. There is no adult present day Clark Kent, period. What is happening? Who the hell knows? I can't wait to find out next week in DCKO number 5. It's going to be a doozy, especially with what's happening with Time Trapper. So I imagine Josh and Brandon, if they were here, they would lament about how much they do not like the retcon for Doomsday, and I don't blame them. I think it's a bit nuts. You had this primal beast, force of nature that existed only for destruction and death, and instead now they're trying to tell us that no, he wasn't always death and destruction. He's also about bringing life. Like, that's, yeah, okay. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of silly. But for the purposes of DCKO, I'll accept it for now. If y'all remember at the beginning of DCKO, when that prophecy from Lara was shown, I was like, Doomsday is going to win. The tournament is not over yet. Lex Luthor may be the last man standing, but as was stated at the end of DCKO number 4, the final round is Lex versus Darkseid. So with Time Trapper about to enter himself into the tournaments, I still think he's going to win. And the Grand King Omega is going to be Time Trapper, or Doomsday in his final form. Time Trapper has been on the verge of death for 5 months now. So when he first showed up in Superman last year, the year before, he said, like, "Superman, you need to kill me one more time and I will achieve my true powerful form that will save everything." They gave it to us from the fucking get-go. So I think he's going to die and he'll be reborn, and Superman will come back with him, and some shit will happen. We know everybody else that lost in the tournament comes back at this point. We know that. Why Superman doesn't, we've yet to find out. But I think it's going to have something to do with Doomsday. We'll have to see what happens. But that is for next week in a future book. This issue of Superman, meanwhile, the retcon, not thrilled about it. Superboy Prime, I am inherently thrilled about it. This was just a big fight between Superboy and the Legionnaires, doing what Superboy Prime does best, and whooping Legionnaires' butts. It was a very simple issue, and it just kind of wrapped up the loose ends that were left open. So for now, it'll get an 8. Didn't hate it, but I also did not love the retcon. So we'll have to see what happens. Finally, our last book of the week is Green Lantern number 32, or in Legacy numbers, number 599. Yes, this is the penultimate issue before they get to the legendary Green Lantern number 600. This is written by Jeremy Adams with art from Montos, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters from Dave Sharp, with the cover by Zermanico. This is going to be the easiest book to sum up yet. Hal surprises Carol on a date in Paris where he actually plans to propose. She does not know that, but when he is getting the courage together to build up the nerve to actually ask the question, Carol starts to get a sensation. She senses something and sees a light in the distance in Paris where they are at the time. And wouldn't you know it, somebody is stealing something. A supervillain, of all things, is stealing something. So the pair go out in their super suits, and Carol is just, for some reason, drawn to this. They fight the supervillain and find that she was stealing some weird cross that had some purple gemstone right in the middle. But in the midst of the fight, Hal gets knocked over, and somehow out of his suit comes the ring box, and Carol's able to see it, freezes for a moment, and screams, "You ruined my proposal, you bitch," and just makes a giant violet bulldog construct to attack this poor girl. Super villainous. Hal is able to pull her back a bit and says, "Okay, all right, she's giving up. Just call your jets. We don't need to maim her." She gets taken in by the authorities. Hal asks how Carol even knew this was happening, and she says, "I don't know, something has drew me here." She picks up the item. It was a little cross, a little purple gemstone, begins to speak to Carol that this is one of the 8 aspects of love, spinning right out of Philip Kennedy Johnson and Olgren. Jeremy Adams was taking notes. So this is one of the 8 aspects of love. This little purple gemstone floats out of the cross and lands onto Carol's star sapphire ring, inserts itself in there. And now Carol was imbued with more love energy and was given the task of finding the remaining aspects of love. They were all named. I will not go into the names because a lot of them just, they probably don't have a point apart from just having a name. So now she has a mission to find the rest of the aspects of love to become the true Star Sapphire. Hal has his own mission that he was getting visions from the Book of Oa, and the whole reason he set up this proposal in the first place is because the visions were kind of guiding him towards that. He says, like, the shit's going to go down. You and I love each other. Let's do this. But she says, let's put a pin on this. I'm not saying no. It's definitely going to be a yes, but let's do this right later. Let's finish our missions, do what we got to do, and then when all's said and done, we'll come back here. You ask me, we go tie the knot. Hal says, "You know what? Fine. That I can live with that." Okay. So they go off their separate ways. Carol is going to go off and do her own little thing, presumably in Justice League Intergalactic, the miniseries that's coming up soon, where she has a starring role, while Hal heads to the moon and finds Kyle playing baseball with himself because he's ever the fucking dork. Hal then has a nice little older brother, younger brother moment with Kyle. They're having this little cryptic monologue about sidekicks and how he wishes that if he ever had a sidekick, he would hope that it would be a lot like Kyle is. And Kyle's getting a little worried about this because this sounds very absolute and final. And Hal then cryptically again says, this is exactly how the Vision said it would be. My right's about to come. And Kyle goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" As some blast of green lights surrounds Hal and he essentially explodes. Kyle goes, "What the hell just happened?" And then we see Hal appearing in what looks like to be a laboratory with none other than Jaina from the Wonder Twins saying, "Hal, what are you doing here?" And that is where our issue ends. That is the penultimate issue to number 600, as I said. So getting right into it, issue 600 is going to be massive and is going to answer hopefully most, if not all, of the questions that are left open from this issue. One question you might be having is, will it be reverting to original numbering? And if the solicits are to be believed, no. It will have the legacy numbering on it. They will make a big deal about issue number 33 being number 600, but there will be an issue 34 afterwards. It will not be number 601. It'll have the legacy numbering on the cover, but it will be forever known as number 601. Or sorry, it'll be forever known as number 34 instead of 601. I wish it would just go back to the original numbering, but at the same time, you might be asking yourself is, how do they get to number 600? And I'll be honest with you, the Lantern fan community has been going over that for months now, and nobody can come to a precise consensus as to how they got to that number. None of the math works properly. You have to be either well over 600 or omitting a number of important titles. And it doesn't make sense how they get to 600 yet. I'm really hoping next month there's a cover gallery so we can see how they came to that number. I really hope. Yeah, fun as fuck issue. I really enjoyed this one. I had no problem with it, except for one thing. They Tom King'd the proposal, and this may be an unfair thing to call it because it wasn't Tom King's fault that Batman and Catwoman didn't get married. Apparently, that was a whole editorial thing. He was going to pull that trigger and actually have Batman and Catwoman get married. Editorial said no, he can't get married. That's poppycock. So that's kind of what happened here. I was really excited. I've been waiting for months for this issue to see Hal finally popped a question, and I got freaking cock blocked, blue balled straight out of the gate by this. I'm not happy, especially knowing that after issue 600, Hal is going to be taking an extended hiatus from this book. Kyle is going to be the front runner. He's going to be the lead. Carol's going to have her own thing. Hal and Carol are never going to be happy. And I'm even more butthurt by this because of the adventure I'm having reading all the old Green Lantern comics, so I read them all, and seeing straight from Showcase 22, Green Lantern 1916, number 1, Hal and Carol were meant to be. They were teased from the get-go as lovers, and Hal been saying from basically the start is one day she's going to be my wife. It's been, what, like 70 years, 60, 70 years. They still haven't freaking done it. Jeff Johns teased that'll happen in the future. They still haven't freaking done it. Jeremy Adams needs to make this happen. Please, 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 please. I hope 600 can kind of give us that. But it's also got me really curious as to what this whole aspect of 8 aspects of love is. Just feels like a whole... that part is kind of weird. Like I said, taking pages right out of Philip Kennedy Johnson's book with the 7 aspects of Olgren, but it's the 8 aspects of love. You find all the aspects, you become the true Star Sapphire. Is that like the old evil Star Sapphire? You're once Queen of the Zamarons. You can be that again. I was like, no, she doesn't need to be. She's good where she is. Who knows what's going to happen? Jeremy Adams knows. And I imagine to a certain degree, Montos does as well. So many answers, so many questions, that need answered. I can't wait to see what will happen, but I do know Montos made it look damn good, with the exception of a few moments where just Hal's suit looked thicker than usual. And I didn't like it. That's the only thing here. There was a couple of moments where I was like, I don't know, that suit don't look right. Hal looked younger than usual. It was a little odd. Apart from that, enjoyed the hell out of it. It will be getting an 8.5 out of 10. So with that, it's time for a top 3 favorite moments, and I definitely have one. So my top 3 is as follows. Number 3 is going to The Flash, with number 2 going to be Detective Comics, and number 1, by far, Absolute Martian Manhunter. My favorite moment, though, is going to go to Green Lantern, where Carol saw the ring box fall on the ground, took a moment, had a very, very shocked and angry face, and then screamed blue bloody murder at this poor girl. You ruined my proposal, you bitch. And I'm not even joking. That is quite literally what she said. Oh, actually, no. So she said, "Did she ruin my proposal? You screwed up the perfect night. You something piece of shit. Damn piece of shit. It's 3 letters. I don't know. You had your chance. Now it's time to pay the price." Yeah, she gets pretty freaking fierce. I got excited at that part. I was like, oh shit! All right, here we go. If there's any doubt that Carol has feelings for Hal, let them be gone now because 100% she cares. All right, so that is about it. Josh is not here to run the board for graphics, so I will kind of do away with favorite cover. But if I had to pick one, I mean, I'll be honest, the Green Lantern was kind of nice. That might be my favorite one right now. It's very dynamic and it told a lot of story in it, and it got me really excited about the issue. Um, so that for now is going to be my favorite cover for the week. Looking at the rest, like this, yeah, a lot of them were really good, but Green Lantern really took it for me. So with that, that is the end of our show. I came in at just over an hour, at an hour 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Right, so I'm getting out of here, so you have to as well. Remember, everybody has a home in the Geek Matrix. You are not alone. Peace.